everyone. Dr. Frankie here. For those of you that are new, I'm a clinical psychologist with over, it's a long time, over 2 decades of experience in working with adults, singles, families, children. I've exclusively been working with adults and couples and singles who want to date smarter, have healthier relationships for about a decade. And it's amazing. It's right where I belong, and the work is incredibly rewarding. And it's a place where I feel like I have a big impact and I can serve immensely, which is why I sit here before all of you, because I want to share all that I've learned in my career thus far. And I want motivation to continue to consume and explore and inquire, right? Like, continue to grow my expertise and my knowledge so that I can use this platform to share all of it with you, because this is all about growth, and we're all connected and we all elevate together by supporting one another and showing up. And I will be here every week showing up for you as a clinical psychologist, as a person who has lived experience in relationships. I'm a mom, I'm queer, I'm a business owner, CEO, I'm a pet owner. Lots of shenanigans happen behind me every time I record. I've got a little corgi and a cat. I'm also a board certified sex therapist. And so I do put out a lot of content around everything related to sex and intimacy. So today we're going to talk about a safe word. Like, do you need a safe word? What is a safe word? But before we jump in, I just want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. You will not be disappointed. I promise to deliver you discussions and topics that are meaningful, that are science based and informed, that are, empirically validated. Whenever I can, I pull research and I share it with you. And so informative and interesting. And I promise you, they're topics that people are afraid to discuss oftentimes. And we need to be talking about them, and we need to be talking about them from an informed place, an educated place, not to pretend or be an armchair therapist or act as if you know what you're talking about. There's a lot of that going on right now out there, and it is confusing, and people are getting misinformed. So I feel an ethical obligation, responsibility, and just the desire to be professional in my practice. Always been, that won't change. So hit that bell below, subscribe, all notifications, and you'll get my video when it drops 3 times a week. Topics covering relationships, dating, communication, nervous system regulation. I mean, like, all the things: sex, intimacy, how to sext, how to reignite your love life, aftercare, safe words like today. So I cover it all. So happy that you're here with me. Hope you get a ton out of what I have to share. And I'm just going to jump in. So, do you need a safe word? Here we go. You're going to be able to figure it out today, because they are confusing. It's a confusing topic. Sometimes they're treated as a punchline, sometimes deadly serious. When are you supposed to use a safe word? And how do you know when the kind of sex you're having is serious enough to actually need one? Safe words and how to use them are both much less complicated than many people may think. And today I'm going to recommend how and why and jump into it with you all. So, what is a safe word? Safe word is a special word, phrase, or signal chosen between sexual partners that will stop all sexual activity immediately. It can function as an escape hatch from any activity that's gotten too intense or doesn't feel good anymore, or hit the pause button on an experience that's gotten briefly overwhelming. You may have heard jokes in TV or movies about picking absurd or silly words to use during a scene to make it clear something different and notable is happening. That can be an option, especially if it makes the word something easy to remember when you're distracted or you're overwhelmed. With that said, many people's safe words are something a little more accessible, or something that has some significance to the relationship. How do you know if you need a safe word? Usually, a safe word would be used in some kind of a kink or BDSM context, a situation where you might plausibly be expressing discomfort, pain, or overwhelm, but still want the experience to continue. For example, in a vanilla sexual context, saying ouch or yelping would be grounds to immediately stop and check in. If you're being spanked or hit, you might easily be yelping and crying out or even crying no, but very much want to keep going. That's why a special word that doesn't sound like ouch or no and makes it clear something different is being expressed is important. That said, many people still don't see a need for safe words in their kink scenes. For many people, the type of play they do doesn't really create any ambiguity around continued consent. There are a lot of ways to gleefully cry out in pain and communicate enthusiasm, or plenty of times when a stop or I need a break are still perfectly accessible in context. For most people who play with power dynamics during sex, the most important application for safe words is playing with consensual non consent. If you're role playing a rape fantasy, for example, it would be very normal to shout no or stop while actually wanting what's going on to continue. Agreeing on a safe word ahead of time or having a standard one that remains consistent in an ongoing relationship can really help make it clear when a no is actually a no and when it's a fun part of a role play. Using the spotlight system, for many people, the way you see safe words depicted in media, a goofy code word that gets deployed when things get too heated, doesn't totally make sense for their sex or play life. A popular system that many people use instead of colloquially, I can't even say that word, colloquially, hysterical, they call stoplight system or green, yellow, red. As the name implies, the idea is that at any point, you and a partner can reference any of these colors to communicate succinctly how you're feeling about what's going on. You'd like it to keep going, green. You'd like it to slow down or be mindful of intensity, yellow. Or you want it to stop right away, red. These can all function as kinds of safe words as they're not terms you're likely to be throwing out organically during sex or a scene. And they're both easy to remember and fairly universally understood by their intended meaning, at least in the United States. These spotlight colors don't need to be used in any special or formal way. With a little practice, it's easy to integrate them into your scenes conversationally. This could look like asking, "How are you doing with this?" and being told green, gasping, yellow, when a spanking is right up against the edge of your tolerance and you don't want it to stop, but don't want it to get any more intense. Saying red when you start to feel like you're getting triggered in a scene and need to regroup. What should you do when someone safe words? It can be surprising and a little disorienting when someone safe words or reds, especially when they seem to be having a good time and want things to continue. The most important thing to do, of course, is to pause what you're doing immediately, whether that's a sex act, impact, or another sex or kink activity. If your partner who's safe worded is restrained or in a constrained position, help them out of it as quickly and gently as possible. After that, it's important to follow your partner's lead. People safe word for all kinds of reasons. It's possible that your restrained partner had a terrible itch that was driving them crazy and feel good to go again as soon as it's addressed. Or it could be that they're feeling emotionally or psychologically distressed and they need significant attention and care. Depending on how they're feeling and their mental emotional state, some things to offer them could be to be wrapped in a blanket or put clothes back on, a glass of water or a snack to get their blood sugar back up, a hug or a chance to cuddle, space to be alone with the door closed, a chance to talk about what they're feeling, a light or uplifting distraction like a favorite TV show or a cartoon, a different kind of sex act of their choice, a massage or grounding activity. What you shouldn't do after someone safe words is spiral into guilt, panic, or shame or make it about yourself by excessively apologizing or repeating how bad you feel. It's easy to feel like you've done something wrong or are a bad sex partner or top if your date needs to safe word. But in reality, we all take on accountability for our own well being with any kind of risky sex or play. Your job isn't to be mind read about what someone's limits or feelings are. Your job is really to be as mindful of limits as possible given the information you have available and changes if you get new information. And stopping at someone's safe word is doing exactly that. It's possible your partner has some new knowledge about themselves or feedback that will help avoid this in the future. But that's not the same thing as having done something wrong. If your partner feels you've behaved inappropriately or caused harm, they can tell you. But otherwise, it's helpful to remember it's not about you and focus on supporting your partner. See y'all next week. Kisses, hugs. Take real good care, folks.